Hello there friends and welcome. For today's SOLASTA guide we have all about the monk class. If you've ever played other D&D games, then you know monks kinda always suffer from the whole it gets good later syndrome, if you know what I mean, right? Because they have a lot of powerful class features, but it takes a while for them to get really good. In SOLASTA, however, that is not the case at all. Monks really surprised me because you get to be quite good as early as level 1 or 2, even the start of the game. And they are without a doubt the class that has the highest amount of attacks per round, even early game. As a matter of fact, as early as level 2 you already have 3 entire attacks. And you can even combine certain weapons like short swords and daggers with your punch attacks, for 1 melee hit and 2 unarmed strikes at the same round. Of course, with up to 5 even at later levels. Monks still get a lot of powerful class features that make them quite tanky too. And with this build you'll not only have a lot of attacks and great damage too, but also very nice armor class. And the benefits don't stop there, because you'll also have some nice abilities to grant you even full resistance, that's half damage taken against all sources, and even the ability to force disadvantage on the enemies or advantage on your own attacks, together with stun locking the enemy on every single hit. So without further ado, let us get into our monk guide. When it comes to race, well, Sylvan Elf as always is the best choice, especially for monks. After all, you have bonuses in your most important attributes, both dexterity and wisdom, together with extra weapons proficiencies, especially long bows for ranged attacks if needed. The extra movement also helps a lot for any melee character. Now, monks get a lot of class features in SOLASTA, but the most important one is, by default, you already have 2 attacks even as early as level 1, because you can attack once, then punch the enemy with a bonus unarmed strike. This matters because you aren't restricted to attacking with just your punches, at least not for the initial attack. You can also combine it with monk weapons, including short swords and daggers. Monks can be quite tanky too. They have 2 attributes that will enhance their AC, dexterity and also wisdom, so that's double the benefits. And yes, your punches will grow in damage, but the maximum is D8, which is kinda poor compared to other monks in D&D games. The background is up to you, they don't matter much for a monk. I like ascetic because it fits, role-playing wise, and you have proficiency with potion crafting. As far as ability scores, if you really wanted to min-max, you would get 2 18s and 1 17, but rolling for that can be a bit annoying, so 1 18, 1 17 and 1 16 is more than enough. This way we can start with 20 dexterity, 18 wisdom, that's already a +9 to our AC, together with 16 constitution for a nice amount of hit points. The other stats don't matter much, but usually charisma is as always the dumpable stat. But of course you can always just use free edit and alter your stats at will. For skill points, well, you might as well go with acrobatics and stealth, because at least you have high bonuses into them. Languages don't matter much outside of Old Tirmarian for the main campaign, Crown of the Magister. Level 2 is huge for a monk, which is great because you pretty much start the game at this level. As I said, you have a lot of class features. First, Flurry of Blows. This is even better for more attacks per round. You can spend a single key point as a bonus action to get 2 extra punch attacks per round. So now you already have 3 potential attacks. You also get your 3 other bonus monk abilities. Patient Defense, by spending 1 key point, you get to take the dodge action for free, which of course highly increases the chances of the enemies missing you. Step of the Wind is the same, but allows you to either disengage or dash for free. Now, because these all cost bonus actions, including Flurry of Blows, you have to choose only 1 per round, right? So ideally, you would go for Patient Defense if you really need to tank or if you're surrounded by enemies. Last but not least, we get Unarmed Movement, which is the classic monk bonus to speed. So now we already have 9 cells of movement as early as level 2. At level 3 we get the very useful Deflect Missiles ability. You can use a reaction, which is great because it's at the enemy's turn, to catch whatever missile you would be hit with, which will highly reduce the damage, equal to 1d10 plus dexterity plus monk level, so you pretty much always take 0 damage from missiles, although it's only once per round. Plus, if you reduce the damage to 0, you can even throw the missile back at the enemy, which is kinda silly. Now at level 3 we also get to pick our monk archetype. There's 2 ones that really stand out. Way of Freedom, which is more of a DPS monk. Whenever you use your Flurry of Blows, You'll automatically get advantage on all of your attacks, which is great, and also the dash action for free, also amazing. At level 6 through Swirling Dance, whenever you would be missed by a melee attack, you can then use a reaction to attack the enemy right after, which is great too. Lastly, at level 11, your Flurry of Blows will grant yet another attack for a total of +3. My main issue with this is, the way I tested it, if you attack more than once, you are kinda locked from this, so you eventually kinda have the same number of attacks as other monks. I'm not sure why, but it's what happened with me. Now, Way of Survival is my preferred pick, and it makes for a tankier monk, although you also have bonuses to damage. First, right at level 3 through Defensive Stance, you'll get a +2 bonus to AC, which is huge for Solasta. Second, whenever you use Patient Defense, you'll also get advantage on all of your attack rolls, together of course with dodging for free. At level 6, it upgrades into Unbreakable Body. First, whenever you take damage, you'll also automatically heal a number of hit points equal to your proficiency at the start of your next turn, which is okay at most. But anyways, the best part comes now. Whenever you use Patient Defense, you'll also get resistance to all damage types, which means half damage taken from all sources. It's really good. Lastly, at level 11, through Unmoving Strength, you get to apply your Constitution modifier to your unarmed strikes and monk weapons, which is great because it also works with, for example, daggers and short swords. And of course, an extra up to +5 to your attacks is amazing. So to me, Way of Survival is the way to go. You'll still end up with 5 attacks per round anyways when hasted, as with Way of Freedom. At level 4 you have 2 choices. You can go with either an increase to Wisdom now, to cap it out for +1 to AC, or you can get a feat. Ideally the feat would be Cloak and Dagger because, well, you'll be attacking with your short sword or daggers anyways, which are light weapons, and having an extra +2 to AC for almost all enemy attacks is a really powerful benefit, especially when you consider we already have a +2 to AC from Defensive Stance. Or like I said, you can just maximize your Wisdom right now for +1 to AC and the DC of your Stunning Strike. At level 5 you get an extra attack, which is nice because you can attack twice with your dagger or short sword and then still retain the 2 extra punches from Flurry of Blows. Also Stunning Strike, which is huge in this game because it works as a toggle, right? So you can turn it on and off at will, and it will be applied on every single one of your attacks so long as you have key points to spend, 1 per each attempt. What this means is you still do your full damage and then get to apply the Stunning Strike effect. If it works, the enemies will be stunned, and since you can apply it multiple times per round, chances are it's gonna work even on Cataclysm mode. Stun enemies will lose their next action, and you also have advantage on all of your attacks against them, which is amazing. At level 6, your punches can overcome resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks. Meanwhile, at level 7 we gain the classic evasion, which is huge too. If you make a saving throw against a spell or ability effect that targets dexterity, instead of half damage you take 0. At level 8 you have 2 choices again. Either increase your constitution because you'll soon be applying the modifier to our attacks as damage, or you can grab a feat, and to me I would go for the feat now and pick Cloak and Dagger unless you picked it before. The extra +2 to AC is really good. At level 10 we get immunity to diseases and poison. And for level 11, as I said before, we get to apply our Con mod to damage. At level 12, well, now it's time to increase your constitution. After all, we just got the ability to increase our damage. For level 13, amusingly enough, we get proficiency with all languages. At level 14, through Diamond Soul, we have proficiency in all saving throws, which is also great. Plus, even if you fail the saving throw, you can spend the key points to reroll it and pick the second result. At level 15 we have resistance to necrotic damage, advantages on life drain, and well, you don't require a ration anymore to rest. As for the last level 16, well, you might as well cap your constitution now, for both extra hit points and damage. Alright, now let us cover gear for our monk. There's a lot of different choices, especially depending on how high you want to increase your AC, but to put it simply, the Braces of Defense are very useful because they grant you an extra +2 to AC when not wearing armor or a shield, and that's a monk. Armor-wise, honestly, any clothing, but the special clothing that increase armor, like the Empress Garb chain shirt or the Garb of the Prudent Shield, they didn't really work for a monk, not as far as I've tested. The other choices are mostly other AC boosting items like the Ring of the Lord Inquisitor and the Sigil rings. together with Cloaks of Protection too if you want, although you do have a limit on attunement slots, 3 only. There's also the Braces of Stunning Strike to increase the DC of, well, your Stunning Strike, but I don't think they're necessary. Stunning Strike can have high DC already, and the fact you apply it on every single hit, well, chances are the enemy is going to fail. I'd much rather plus 2 to AC. Now, when it comes to weapons, monks are quite versatile, as I explained before. You can combine a short sword or a dagger and still retain your unarmed attacks at the same round. And while you can just go with gauntlets that enhance the damage of all of your attacks and also make your normal attacks into unarmed punches, I still think going with a dagger, most importantly a short sword later on, is more optimal. Because, well, you can enchant these weapons with extra damage. For example, the ultimate one is definitely the Sudden Death legendary dagger from the Palace of Ice DLC. It not only deals an extra 3d4 acid damage per strike, which is certainly way higher than what you would get out of the gauntlets of highest tier, plus it even triples your critical range to 18 and 19 instead of 20 only, which is huge for a game like Solasta. And the best part is this critical chance boost will also work for your punches. Earlier you can just go with light bringer weapons or something like the Soul Drinker dagger. Besides that, I would also keep a ranged weapon just in case. If you went with Sylvan Elf, then you have access to long bows, which are decent enough. Yes, they are not monk weapons, but the monk martial abilities, they are mostly close range, right? So it's not like you can combine them with a ranged weapon anyways. I suppose you can also go with darts, but they're kinda poor compared to long bows. Well, alright friends, so this was it from my Solasta Monk guide. If you found it useful as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and consider becoming a channel member if you can too. I always appreciate your support. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.